It can be hard figuring out what advice will actually help save battery life on your phone and what amounts to tech superstition. What settings can you easily change that'll have the biggest impact without ruining your phone? Here are my 10 best tips. Let's start with the most obvious one, low power mode. It's a single button you can press that turns all kinds of switches and settings in the background to optimize your phone for longevity. You can use it as a preventative measure if you're having a big day out and you know you won't be able to charge it at all. You can also use it when you're down to 20%, if you need an extra few hours before you can get back home. You can add low power mode to Control Center. You can also ask Siri to turn it on. Next up, turn down display brightness. The display is one of the biggest power drains on the battery. If possible, you should keep the display at the minimum brightness that's still legible. The power consumption of an LED display, like the one in your iPhone, is roughly linear. There's a certain baseline of power consumption, because your iPhone doesn't let you turn it all the way down to 0, but doubling how bright the display looks will double the power consumption above the baseline. You can turn down your display brightness from Control Center or by asking Siri. If you have an iPhone 14, 15, or 16 Pro, turning off the always-on display is a good way to save power. You can find this in Settings, Display and Brightness, Always on Display by unchecking, Always on Display. Apple says this feature draws 1% of your battery per hour. That may not sound like a lot, but at the end of a long day, that could add up to an extra 16% of your battery. A feature called Background App Refresh lets an app periodically fetch new stuff in the background while it's not running, so that there's new content to show you as soon as you open it, and it makes apps appear like they're opening faster. But you can turn it off in Settings, General, Background App Refresh, off. Or you can selectively disable it. I recommend at least trying to turn it off with social media apps and shopping apps. This next recommendation is more of a hack on your behavior than your phone's behavior. Try turning on Do Not Disturb. Open Control Center, tap the focus button, and tap Do Not Disturb. Every time you see your phone light up, whether you act on a notification or not, has the potential to draw you in. If you're interrupted less, you'll be drawn into your phone less, and using your phone less will drain its battery less. If you have Siri's active listening mode enabled, which it is by default when you set up your phone, it's always waiting for you to say, or even just. This takes a small amount of battery power, but if you really want to maximize your gains, you should turn this feature off. It also has the secondary benefit of preventing Siri from randomly going off all the goddamn time. Go to Settings, Apple Intelligence and Siri, talk and type to Siri, and tap off. On an older iPhone, you can find the same setting in Settings, Siri, Listen for, off. If you still do want to activate Siri, you can do so by holding the side button. Personally though, I haven't disabled it. I'm a fan of using. My pro tip is actually that you don't have to say the trigger phrase and then wait for your phone to respond. If you say it and then carry on talking in one continuous sentence, it can actually make Siri feel faster and more responsive. Next up, don't use the iPhone's built-in speakers. Newer iPhones have surprisingly good sounding stereo speakers, but bumping the music comes at a big cost. Connecting AirPods, Bluetooth headphones, or plugging in a wired speaker will significantly reduce the battery drain. And sound a lot better too. Now, you don't have to worry about this if you're not actively listening to music, videos, or podcasts. The occasional ding sound effect when you get a notification won't have much of an impact. Also, stay on Wi-Fi as much as possible. If you live in a city with good cell coverage and you have an unlimited plan, then you may be able to live your life carefree, enjoying your perpetual connection to the internet. But that comes at a cost. Connecting to Wi-Fi when you're at a friend's house or a coffee shop will significantly reduce the battery drain. Wi-Fi takes much less energy than 4G LTE and especially 5G. As a last-ditch effort to save as much power as possible, you can enable airplane mode. From Control Center, tap the airplane mode toggle, and it'll turn off everything except for Bluetooth. If you tap the Bluetooth icon, that'll be turned off as well, and it'll remember that you want airplane mode to disable Bluetooth the next time you use it. Obviously, though, this is an extreme solution. When you're in airplane mode, you can't be called or contacted, and if your phone is lost or stolen, you won't be able to track it with Find My. So this is the most extreme thing you can do, short of turning your phone off. Finally, let's do a little myth busting. A large number of people force quit their apps when they're not in use. Some people do it reflexively every time they use their phone. If you do this, you are wrong. Force quitting your apps is worse for your battery life. When you force quit an app, your iPhone has to do extra work to end all the running processes and clear it from memory. Then when you open the app again, your phone has to load it from scratch, which slows it down. If an app isn't actively on screen, there's very little that it's even allowed to do. It can do things like play music, run a live activity, talk to Bluetooth devices, run a shortcut, update data in a widget. If an app is in the background, there's very little it can do without you knowing about it or specifically asking for it. So when you clear out your list of running apps, you're not helping your battery. It's like unscrewing the light bulb every time you're done using it, instead of just flicking the switch. So that is my list of tips on how to get the best iPhone battery life. Remember to like and subscribe. I'm Griffin Jones with Cult of Mac.